bought it for my son from the pound shop, and it was an absolute pile of rubbish. It just flashed an LED and it wasn't even particularly fast. So I took it apart because I thought the case, because it comes with a little wall mounted or ceiling mounted bit, I thought this would make a perfect toilet light. So because I've got children, I thought it would be perfect to have this bit, which has got the reflectors in, facing down towards the toilet, so we could have that light on all night so you can see the toilet, and it gives enough light for, you know, you to do your business, but not so much light that it shines in their eyes when they're asleep. And then I thought about making it so that it will have the switches for the other solar lights in the room. So as you can see, I've already drilled the holes. What I want to do now is I want to get a piece of PCB board and start working out the actual circuit. It's going to be something simple. This switch will turn on the LEDs here, and there'll be these two switches which will turn on two different independent 12 volt LEDs, and this whole setup will be run from a 12 volt battery, which is then solar powered. So let's get on. Okay, so here's the plan. We're going to have 12 volts coming in, and that will go to a push button switch and a resistor and 3 LEDs. Now I'm not sure what resistor to use yet. If 220 makes them quite dull, 120 makes them quite bright, and I'll just test that and have a look. Anyway, 12 volt negative comes on to here to where we've got a 12 volt bulb, and that obviously goes through a switch, and then again. So basically 2 bulbs, 3 LEDs, and that is it. It's a very, very simple circuit. I'm going to be using these things to connect the lights to and the cable, the 12 volts in, and then I've got some of these to connect to the 12 volt battery. I've also got then a solar panel to connect to that battery, so it should keep itself fully charged most of the time. So now I'm gonna solder up a quick circuit on here. Shouldn't need much more space than that, and I'll wire it up as best I can, and then we'll put it inside the box. The reason I liked this box so much was just because of this bit here. It has all the nice reflectors, and I just thought it would make a perfect thing having the switches here. It's low enough for the kids to reach, and it just means that the light is only shining where it needs to, and doesn't necessarily, you know, you don't, unless you want a main light on, you can just use this switch, but then these two will, one's near the mirror and one's near the bath, and that's enough to illuminate the entire room if, you know, if it's not the night time or whatever, you know. If you just want the little night light on, it means that the kids can go to the toilet throughout the night without having to turn any extra lights on themselves. So first job I did, took this out, and as you'll see I made the holes bigger, and I've added an extra one at the top, and I've put in these 10mm white LEDs, and I've wired them up. I just quickly gave them a little twist. They're not actually soldered or anything yet. Little quick twist, and then I've got a 100 ohm resistor on here. I did put either 120 or 220, but 100 ohm is absolutely fine, especially because the car battery I use will not always be on full power. If you use the main light, because it's a car battery, it's not designed to hold large quantities of power. So if you use the main big lights for a few days and you've had terrible weather, then the battery power will be going down a bit. But I just wanted to give these a quick solder, and then I can cut these excess bits off. So that's my next job. Right, there we go, simple as that. Just a little bit of solder on each of the joints. Now I'm going to cut off the excess, I've said this in a few videos, but with this excess bits, always get rid of them in the bin. If you drop them anywhere, obviously if you're doing this in a workshop, it's not so problematic, but if you drop them on your floor in your house and you step on one, they're very, very painful. These are connected in serial, so it goes from resistor positive to negative to positive to negative. Perfect. And it's quite bright when it comes to, you know, at night time. It'll shine quite a distance and you can point it where you need to as well. Okay, so I'm going to put that back in here for now, and then we can decide where we're wiring everything else into. And as I say, I'm going to use this. I'm probably going to hot glue gun it there when I get my glue sticks, and I can wire it all in like that. So first job I'm going to do is probably work out where I'm putting these connectors. Two of these will be for the 12 volt bulbs, and then one will be for where I put the actual battery terminal connectors, the wire to connect to the actual battery. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do, so I'll go away and come back and show you. Okay, I've decided just to do them here, here and here, and again it's just a very quick solder job when I find where I put my solder. There you go. As always, touch the pad and the thing you want to solder to allow the heat to disperse evenly. Get a bit on your soldering iron, that always helps. I'm really going to have to get my handy helpers back soon, because this isn't working for me. I'll just do that one. If you get a blob of solder, hang on, I'll get it in the screen, and it'll take a bit longer to melt when it's a blob like that. I tend to just give it a little cut. There you go, and now it should melt quite easily. I have to turn my soldering iron down. It's not. I hate it. I've changed my soldering iron's temperature to do some more heavy duty work a little while ago, and I can just never quite get it right. It's almost like the seat in a car. If you move your front seat a little bit, the driver's seat, that's it. It takes you weeks to get it back to how you like it. Okay, as simple as that. Now I've got to just decide where everything goes, and we're virtually done. Just a case of making a few little tracks for everything to plug into. I've tinned some wire and I've placed it here and here, so there's 4 pieces sticking up now, and these will actually go off to the switches. It will make more sense as as I get on with it and you watch on. Now I'm going to do a track down this side. Now connect them together. Known as bridging. Now you can just make this circuit, or any kind of circuit you like in your house, without any specialist tools, but this is such a small thing, I'm not going to bother. And I've got to admit, I do like soldering, so it's sort of, I find it quite relaxing. Okay, that's that done. Going to make this mirrored symmetrical. So this side will go to, say, the negative of the 12 volts, and this side will go to the positive of the 12 volts. So as long as I put them in the right way around, I should be okay. These two wires poking through now are going to be for the LED setup, and I've put them there, and I think I've got a feeling I've done something wrong, but I can't figure it out yet, so we shall wait and see. Exciting stuff. So that to there, that to there, and now this is going to be bridged to this side. Oh. Like that. That one bridge to this side. Done. Now I need to connect this all the way to this side, and then this one all the way to this side. So for that we're going to bridge over something, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute as well. Okay, so that one was straightforward enough, as you can see, but now we've got a problem with this one. It needs to be over this side, but that's straightforward as well. As I've said in other videos, I always keep the tips of LEDs that I cut off, and it means that I can actually use them to jump over things. Just make sure, yeah. And I'll show you that in a bit better detail in just a sec. Okay, now that is jumping over that one and into the one it needs to go in. It's as straightforward as that. Just noticed I've missed a place there. Always check and recheck your work, and the more laid back and relaxed you get about soldering, the more likely you are to make your mistakes. I don't burn myself very often, but I do often miss bits out or short things out because I've wired them wrong. Okay, that's that done. When it comes to putting this down, I'm going to glue it, hot glue it around here, just so that it never accidentally connects a circuit or anything like that. So that's sort of how it's going to be. The connections can go here. This is where the 12 volt in goes, and then this is where each of the 12 volt bulbs will be connected, and they'll come out the back through holes that were already in it. Now we need to wire up this little one, this little set of LEDs. A must have whenever doing any electronics is heat shrink tubing. I'm actually going to place this all the way over this lot, so there's only a small amount showing, and then I'll move it up and heat shrink it that way. So this will come in here, and it's the red wire we need to connect to this. Could cut that down a bit, I suppose. Now I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes getting this coiled how I want it around this. All I've done is a tiny little twist round. Now I'm going to solder it. Now the heat shrink tubing is quite close, so I don't want to heat this for too long, because I don't want the heat shrink tubing to start melting where it is. There we go, that'll do. Now it had started to shrink, but not too much, so quickly lift it over. There you go, that'll do. I'll bend that down and sort that all out in a minute. The next job is to connect this LED to a piece of wire, and then that will go off to the switch. Again, I'm just going to wrap a piece around it like that. This time you'll notice I haven't put any heat shrink tubing on it. That isn't necessary at this precise second. There we go. Now, like before, we can just get our piece of heat shrink tubing the length we desire. This piece of heat shrink tubing can come down the wire like this, and this can go all the way to the end now. Now this here is my hot air gun. It's very hot very, very quickly. There we go, that's that done. Now it's just a case of sorting out the wiring up here, and each one of these goes to one of the switches, or buttons depending on which one it is. This here goes to this switch, and that controls the LEDs, and then these two control the 12 volt bulbs. At this precise second, none of these LEDs are stuck in there, or this, none of it is actually stuck in. Again, I've got to wait for my hot glue gun, so it's just a case of waiting until it's here, and then I can glue it all down and, you know, make it all a bit safer. But as these switches come in from underneath, so they have to go up through, it means I can actually solder these on now before I close that all up. What I'm going to do first is tin the ends like usual. So it probably isn't the best view for this whole bit of work, but at the moment I've only got one camera, one tripod, and it's a pain to move either. And I'm trying not to use any more solder than I've cut off, but I think I'm going to have to. I think I'm going to have to give in a sec. Ouch. This one has to be screwed in beforehand. You can't put this in, and you can't solder this after it's been put in. I can't put it back in through here, so it has to come down through this way. So I'm going to put this one in first. Do you know what, I might put them all in and then solder them that way. Let me think about that. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. It just means when you're putting switches into a project box or whatever, and you've soldered them already, sometimes you might start twisting them when you're tightening them up, like I am now, and that's when suddenly you'll break a bit of solder and you're back to square one. You're going to have to resolder it while it's in there anyway. So yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put these on. Okay, so that's how it'll look, and these will be for the 12 volts. This will be for the LED. This one's a bit sticky actually, but it doesn't matter. When I say sticky, I mean the spring isn't quite strong enough to push it back every time. Doesn't matter. Right. Which way does it wire up? That way, isn't it? So, what I want to do is get it comfy in a certain position. And then I'm going to try and bend bits to it. In this situation, I should have some heat shrink tubing to go over the ends of all this, but I've found in my experience it doesn't work very well, and hot glue works a lot better to just protect joints and so on. Okay, that's it tinned. So now, which one's going to be easiest to which bit? I may not be able to capture this very well because it is quite difficult to do, but I'll try my best. One. Now, I'm not in any hurry to do this because I don't want to overheat the switches, because you can quite easily melt stuff within these switches, and then basically you just got to start again. And there's the second one. Okay, the next one. Just trying to get it to hold there, so it makes my life a little bit easier. Boom. Okay, that didn't work. Try again. As I say, don't try too quickly because you want it to be able to cool down a bit. Does not like being heated up, this one. Okay, there we go, that's that. Next one. This is always really fiddly when you're doing stuff like this. But I could have done these outside the packet, like the box, like I said, but I'm a rogue, I like to live dangerously. Okay, now it's these two. This is where it gets properly interesting. I think we'll start with that one. Now these bigger switches, the push button, sorry, I found they're more heat resistant, but still just be careful. No point in breaking a switch now. It does happen though, you know, and sometimes it's not your fault, sometimes it just was going to break, you know. Okay, there we go. That's it done. Now I'm going to test it quickly. And see how we get on. It's all about figuring out which bit's what now. Which side's what, I mean. I think positive's the right side. Let's have a look, shall we? Me and my continuity testing, hey? To test continuity, to make sure that bits are connected together, if you turn it to this little doer on your multimeter, then if anything is connecting a circuit, it will make a noise. So I want to test if this one's positive by clicking now on the positive leg of the whoops, hang on, the positive leg, no actually I'll do the negative leg of the LED, there we go. So that side is positive. So what I need to do now, a little positive, negative, positive, negative. And like I've done in many times in the past, I've written the positive and negative round the wrong way. Okie dokie, fair enough. So we change that one to positive and then scribble that one out. That'll have to do. Okay, so let's connect that to there. Okay, so that's those two together. Turn it on without connecting the circuit, so that's that. Now to check the whether we're getting the right bits and pieces from these. That's now 12 volts, no volts. I wonder if we can get that in. 12 volts, no volts. So my positive is that side, so it's negative that side. Give it a little negative here. I could check to see if it's positive and negative by just following the traces, but I can't be bothered. Okay, so that is on, off. Oh, hang on. We've got an error there, that's not turning off at all, so we're going to have to check that one a minute. Right, as you can see, it's not the circuit that the issue is, it's this switch. I'm not actually even touching it very hard. So I need to change the switch out, and that's all. That's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to unscrew it, unsolder it and put a new one in. Not an issue at all. Okay, so as I say, this is broken, but I don't actually have any more toggle switches at the moment. I've got a few somewhere, but I can't find them at the moment. I did have a look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place all this in its little housing and wire it all up, and it will work with just one light at the moment, which is absolutely fine. I'm not bothered really, but that then just plops down. Try not to break anything. There we go. If you have a look in there, oh, you can't see from here. You've got your connectors in there, but I won't be making this all up. I won't be doing that until it's all wired up. Anyway, I'll put it through, wire it up, and then I close it all up. But that's what it's going to look like. You can actually hear that one's broken. So I think we should go and wire it up after I've got that bit of whatever's jingling around inside it out. Let's wire it up. Okay, so here's the final product. This is the LEDs at the front, and then that is the 12-volt bulb. I will connect this one very soon, but I can't be bothered at the moment until I find another toggle switch. It's not a major importance anyway, but it's all working, so now I've just got to go and wire it up in the bathroom. But I'll leave the video there because no one needs to come into my bathroom to see it working. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.